All right, so today we're going to talk about a skill that will help you put your best foot forward while writing. It will help you prevent points off. It will help you impress your parents and peers. This skill is called backwards editing. And if it sounds weird, it's because it is. All right, so backwards editing, what is it you may be asking, and what does it do? Basically, backwards editing is going to help you avoid that piece of paper that you get back dripping in red ink. We will be using this technique to help us catch grammar problems, punctuation problems, spelling problems, and even problems with sentence structure. Basically, a number of things get in our way when we try to edit effectively. And if we could remove these things from the equation, I believe we could be better writers, cleaner writers, writers who exhibit less errors in our writing. So several things prevent us from being effective editors. First of all, your brain. When you read, your brain subconsciously pays attention to meaning, not error. So you're missing tons of errors because you're just reading and your brain is translating those letters and those words into thoughts. So those thoughts distract us from catching errors. We're also probably, in some sense, prevented from editing well by our kind of not so solid grasp of spelling and grammar. But through this backwards editing technique, both of these problems can be. Backwards editing basically involves two strategies. The first one involves your ear. When you edit backwards, your job is to read the words aloud. Because when you read those words aloud, it's going to slow your brain down, and it's also going to enlist your ears as part of the equation. Just think about all the time in your life that you spend reading text versus all the times in your life when you spend listening to words. You know that you listen to words far more frequently than you read. The majority of our life is spent listening to other people talk. Therefore, our brains through our ears are better able to catch a lot of problems with grammar spelling with grammar. So definitely go ahead and read these words aloud. And the other one, of course, is to read backwards. So let's take a look and see what we do there. Okay, so what we have here is your typical student paper. If I scroll down, you'll see that this is a full essay with plenty of body paragraphs, etc. All these paragraphs are indented. So what we do when we backwards edit is we don't start at the top. If we start at the top and read left to right, we are reading for meaning, and we're going to miss those errors. So what you're going to do is flip the equation and go to the bottom of the document, and instead of reading left to right, you are going to read right to left. So let's take a look. What I'm going to do is just read this sentence right here backwards to look for spelling and capitalization errors. Okay, so I'm going to look at this word books and ask myself, is it spelled right? Yes, it is. Other, his, explore, wanna. Oop, there it goes. Wanna is definitely an error. I know that wanna is not really a word, so I'm going to change that to want to. And continue. Whoop, there's a letter that should be capitalized because proper pronouns like I are always capitalized. So, good, pretty, was, him, by, read, there's another I that needs capitalizing. Book, the, because, and so on and so forth. So as you can see, I just read word by word by word to check spelling. And though I did it slowly and deliberately, you will find out that you can do it very, very quickly. All right, so the next thing you're going to do is go ahead and read those sentences from the end of the document to the beginning of the document. And you're going to read those sentences aloud for sound and to see if you can catch any punctuation errors, any grammar errors, those sentence structure errors. So I'm going to go to the first letter of the last sentence and read it aloud. The author's I would like to try is Paul Volpone because the book I read by him was pretty good, so I want to explore his other books. Now, I just know right off the bat that he's only talking about one author, so that should be author. Again, I didn't read the entire sentence before, so I'm going to change that to I. And then I can identify the problems throughout that sentence just with my brain. Let me read the next one. But I do have some strong points when it comes to reading. When I read my own selection of books, I seem to get pretty farther than usual. I home my reading skills improve over time. So as you can hear, there are multiple problems within that sentence. This sentence contain, it's one big run-on. You should have a period here, but I do have some strong points when it comes to reading. There should be a period there. And then he says, when I read my own selection of books, I seem to get pretty farther than usual. This word pretty doesn't work right there. And I also think there needs to be a period here, and this I needs to be then capitalized. That way, this is broken up instead of one very long sentence. This is now broken up into 3 shorter sentences, but with sound right. So again, go and take a look. Read the entire last sentence aloud, then read the entire second last sentence aloud, and listen for errors. Listen to see if you can catch the problems that are within those sentences. Now you might be asking yourself, well, Mr. Malley, if I didn't spell the word correctly the first time, what makes you think I'll be able to recognize it the second time? Well, my answer to that is simple. I think that you know when you are not entirely confident in the spelling of a word. Sometimes it'll just be those red lines that will show you've got a spelling error. Sometimes you'll have a gut feeling. Let's take a look over at this word right here, unorganized, okay? We're going to take a look at that word. Let's see if he spelled it correctly. All you have to do is go to a new tab, paste the word into the Google search, and it's not pasting for some reason, and let's do a search. Unorganized. Does it look like it's spelled correctly? Unorganized. Let's take a look. It looks the very same to me, so that word is spelled correctly. So that's one way. If you had it spelled incorrectly, it would say, do you mean? And you would see that word spelled correctly. Like, let's take a look. Let's spell it wrong purposely. Unorganized. It says showing results for unorganized spelled correctly instead of spelled incorrectly. Then take a quick look at the definition. Do you spell that correctly? Is this spelled right?